Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us in this session of Spokane Public Schools Keep Learning series for literacy. Today's lesson is for all our fifth graders out there, and any child who is interested is welcome to join us. My name is Mrs. Rich, and I'm a fifth grade teacher at Woodridge Elementary in Spokane Schools. I will be your teacher for this lesson. I'm so glad you are participating with me today. This is our first lesson in this series. Today, we'll be learning about character traits and using text evidence to support our thinking. For today's lesson, you will need pencil and paper. I will give you a moment to gather your supplies. Okay then, today we're learning about the Birchbark house. So for lesson 1, we're going to focus on character traits. We'll have an initial read of the story, and then we will finish with the character trait activity. So character traits, what things are we looking for as we're reading? What choices does the character make? What is the character's motive in the story? Changes in character's behavior, and how do you feel about the character? So you can also go online and look for different character traits if you want after you finish this lesson. So let's go ahead and head to our story. As we begin our story, we see that the story starts with a different type of text. So that is to provide the reader with information that happened prior to when we have joined the story. If you also notice, there's a pronunciation key here because it helps us to understand how to say things when they're in a different language. Omachias is returning home from an errand. She carries scissors for her mother and a lump of sweet maple candy for herself. Both the scissors and the candy are rare and valued items in her Ojibwa village in 1847. She is not eager to return home to the chore of tanning a moose hide and to her older sister Angeline, who made fun of her earlier in the day. Her feelings are hurt, and she wants nothing but to be respected by Angeline. Before she went back on the trail, Omachias rinsed off the old candy lump in the lake. It came out beautifully, creamy, golden, translucent, and grainy dark, and sweet. She started walking, her treasure now wrapped in a leaf. As she walked, Omachias thought, there was no way to share such a tough nut of sweetness. How would she divide it? Omachias decided she did not want to cause trouble at home. Furthermore, it suddenly made sense to her that at least one person in the family should get the full effect of the maple sugar. She would pop the whole thing into her mouth, all at once. This would save problems. Ugh, the lump was delicious, tasting of spring sweetness in the inside of trees. Besides, Omachias reasoned, as she walked contentedly along, the taste of the sugar would save her from eating one of the berries she was sure she would find on the path. So remember, we're thinking about character traits. Omachias' feet moved slower and even slower yet. For one thing, the moose hide waited. For another, she was still angry with her older sister and didn't want to see Angeline. She could still feel that sister foot pressing hateful on her back. If only there was some way to impress Angeline, cause her envy, make her say, "Can I have some of those berries? Please, please, please?" You can be sure, Omachias thought, her face taking on a faraway, haughty expression. She would be slow in answering. Yet the worst of it was this. Her sister was usually on her side, helping her plan tricks on the other children in the village, or gathering new ferns or snaring rabbits, visiting the grave houses looking for sugar or food left for the spirits, tossing off her clothes to swim with her. And to have her older sister laugh at her hurt Omachias so much inside that she both wanted Angeline to smile in surprise, to be proud, to envy her, to feel rotten and be sorry forever. So Omachias took the slow way back, looking for odamin, little red heartberries, in the sunny margins of the woods near the ground. So I want you to stop a moment and think, are there any character traits that come to mind so far? I know as I'm thinking and reading, I am thinking, oh, she seems frustrated and annoyed by her sister. And so as we're moving along, we want to think about what text supports that idea So on this particular page, I would say that she could still feel her sister's foot pressing hateful on her back. If there was only some way to impress Angeline, okay, she really is angry at her sister at this point. Let's get back to the story. She carefully removed the hard lump of sweetness from her mouth, stuck it back in its leaf just inside the pocket of her dress. Just as the taste of sugar faded along her tongue, she bent over, pushed back delicate leaves, and found masses of plump red little berries. Ah, one, two, three. She'd eaten a huge handful. Another. She grinned, thinking that she'd allow her sister to return with her to plunder them, but only if Angeline changed her ways. All of a sudden, a rustle and then a thump in a bush ahead made Omachaius freeze. A long moment passed as she stared through the dark leaves. Suddenly, crash! Two bear cubs burst from the bush and rushed pale-male, tumbling head over heels straight for her. They came on in such a hurry that she didn't see Omachaius until they were nearly in her lap. And then, with comical looks of shock, they tried to stop themselves. One flew flat on its face, bumping its nose and squealing. The other twisted in mid-air and landed in a heap on the ground, shaking its head in confusion at Omachaius. The bear boys looked at her. Slowly she put out her open hand filled with heartberries. Curious, the cubs jumped forward and lost their nerve. They scampered backward and then crept forwards shyly again. The smaller cubs seemed slightly bolder and sniffed at Omachai's hand. The bear cub took one berry, then jumped away in seeming fright at its own bold act. The taste of the berry seemed to banish fear. The two now tumbled at her, growling mock ferocious. Their long pink tongues touched up every berry from her hands, eagerly flipping them from her fingers as fast as she could pick. They seemed to like the game. It could have gone on for hours, that is, until she stood upright. Then they tumbled backward in alarm. Their chubby bottoms rolled them over like playing balls, and she laughed out loud. She realized they had thought Omachaius was their own size. They were astonished the same way Omachaius had been the first time she saw the traitor cadet unfolding a seeing glass, something he called a telescope, a long, shiny tube that grew in his hands. She bent down. "A neat little brothers," she said to them kindly, and they came forward. She looked around. No mother bear. Omachaius was well aware that she shouldn't stay so close to these cubs, but after all, they seemed deserted. She looked around again. They were orphans. Perhaps the mother bear's skin was now draped across old Tallow's bed, although she hadn't heard about a recent kill. But still, no mother bear in sight. And these little ones so hungry. Wouldn't her big sister be thrilled when Omachaius returned with these two new brothers? Eagerly, Omachaius began to plan out her triumphant walk back to the house. She would enter the little clearing with the cubs, one at her heels and one before her. Everyone would make way, impressed. She would lead the bear cubs around the fire 4 times before she presented one of them to Angeline, who would look at her with new respect. There was no warning. One moment, Omachaius was wiggling a leafy stick, making it move on the ground so the cubs would jump on it, biting fiercely. The next moment, she found herself flipped over on her back and pinned underneath a huge, powerful, heavy thing that sent down a horrible stink. It was the sow bear, the mother, breathing on her a stale breath of decayed old deer hides and skunk cabbages and dead mushrooms. Oh, the surprising thing was, Omachaius realized later, that although she had no memory of doing so, she had the scissors out of their case and open, the sharp ends pointing at the bear's heart. But she didn't use them as a knife. She knew for certain that she should not move. If the bear began to bite and claw, she would have to plunge the tip of the scissors straight in between the bear's strong ribs, use all of her strength, sink the blade all the way to the rounded hilt, and then jump clear if she could, while the bear went through its death agony. If she couldn't get clear, Omachaius knew she would have to roll up in a ball and endure the bear's fury. She would probably be clawed from head to foot, bitten to pieces, scattered all over the ground. Until the mother bear made the first move, Omachaius knew she should stay still, or as still as possible, given the terrified jumping of her heart. So I want you to take a moment and think, Is there a new character trait that has emerged, and what text evidence would you use to support that? So at the end, I'm going to be looking for two different character traits with two pieces of evidence to support each trait. For long moments, the bear tested her with every sense, staring down with her weak eyes, listening, and most of all, smelling her. The bear smelled the morning's moose meat stew Machias had eaten, the wild onion seasoning, and the dusty bit of maple sugar from old tallow stuck to the inside of her pocket. How she hoped the bear did not smell the bear-killing dogs or the bear claw that swung on silver hoop from old Tallow's earlobe. Perhaps the bear smelled the kind touch of Grandma and Mama's bone and spruce wood comb, her baby brother's cuddling body, the skins and mats she had slept in, and little Pinch, who had whined and sobbed the night before. The bear smelled on Omachias' skin the smell of its own cousin's bear grease used to ward off mosquitoes, fish from the night before last night, the berries she was eating. The bear smelled all. Omachias couldn't help but smell her back. Bears eat anything, and this one had just eaten something ancient and foul. Hein! Omachias took shallow breaths. Perhaps it was to take her mind off the scent of dead things on the bear's breath that she accidentally closed the scissors, shearing off a tiny clip of bear fur, and then, to cover her horror at this mistake, started to talk. "Nokomis," she said to the bear, calling her grandmother. "I didn't mean any harm. I was only playing with your children. Gawino Jada, please forgive me." The bear coughed at Omachias, but in a warning manner, not savagely to hurt. Then the bear leaned back, nose working, as though she could sense the meaning of the human words. Encouraged, Omachias continued. "I fed them some berries. I wanted to bring them home to adopt them, have them live with me at my house as my little brothers. But now that you're here, grandmother, I will leave quietly. These scissors in my hands are not for killing, just for sewing. They are nothing compared to your teeth and claws." So again, be thinking of a character trait. Is there something new that's come up? And indeed, Omachias' voice trembled slightly as the bear made a gurgling sound deep in her throat and bared her long, curved, yellowish teeth, so good at ripping and tearing. But having totaled up all of the smells and sifted them for information, the bear seemed to have decided that Omachias was no threat. She sat back on her haunches like a huge dog. Swinging her head around, she gave a short, quick slap at one of the cubs that sent it reeling away from Omachias. It was as though she were telling them they had done wrong to approach this human animal and should now stay away from her. Omachias' heart squeezed painfully. Even though it was clear her life was to be spared, she felt the loss of her new brothers. "I wouldn't ever hurt them," she said again. The little cubs piled against their mother, clung to her. For a long moment, the great bear sat calmly with them, deciding where to go. Then, in no hurry, they rose in one piece of dark fur. One bear boy broke away, again tried to get near Omachias. The other looked longingly at her, but the big bear mother abruptly nosed them down the trail. Okay, so we're going to return to our paper to look at what our activity is for today. Okay, so we're going to do one quick review of things we're looking for. So character traits of Omachias, actions or choices that she has made, motives or reasons for the actions, any changes in her behavior, and how you related to Omachias as a character. So as you fill out your paper, you're going to create a list and you're going to do a character trait. So the character trait I chose an example was frustrated. And the quote I received was from page 671. And here's the exact quote. "And to have her older sister laugh at her hurt Omachias so much inside that she both wanted Angeline to smile in surprise, to be proud to envy her, and to be rotten and feel sorry for her forever." And then the explanation, Omachias is mad because her sister Angeline made fun of her, so she wants to make Angeline jealous. She hopes Angeline will feel bad for laughing at her. Perhaps during the video you took notes and you don't have exact quotes, but you have text support that goes along with the character trait. So you're looking for two character traits and then two pieces of text that support that. I have enjoyed doing some literacy learning with you today. Thank you for joining me as we keep learning from home. I look forward to seeing you again on our next lesson on KSPS.